Welcome back to The Perspective. I'm with Stephen Locke from Edelman. NGOs, we haven't really touched on them. Media and business are obviously grabbing the headlines, as it were. How have they done in this survey?
The NGO result is always interesting for Indonesia. Around the world, NGOs are usually pretty consistently the most trusted institution that we survey between NGOs, business, government, and media. Indonesia is completely different. Indonesia NGOs are the least trusted in our survey, and government has overtaken NGOs after a couple of years. Now, we recorded, I think between 2012 and 2014, significant drops in trust in NGOs, and we've begun to see a recovery. And it's difficult for us to pinpoint exactly why that dip in trust in NGOs occurred, but they're now the least trusted of the four big pillars that we survey in Indonesia.
Would you tie it to sovereign concerns that probably boosted government popularity?
Well, our survey doesn't give us hard data to judge where the change came from. My speculation would be that it's based upon two things, most likely. One is we went through a period of international NGOs being quite, they would say didactic, I would say dictatorial, about how Indonesian business and government should behave. And I think Indonesians, because they're very attuned to national sovereignty, resented that international interference. And the other thing, and we've seen it in a number of countries, not just Indonesia, is a suspicion about how Indonesian NGOs get their money and what they do with it. And so issues of transparency are quite important. So when we're advising NGOs, and we do have some NGO clients, we advise them to be much more transparent about sources of funding and also how the funding's used.
Going back to the survey in itself, is there anything it looked at for the first time in the 2015 results?
One of the things we looked at for the first time was people's trust in, if you like, the pace of innovation. We're all used to an annual upgrade of our software from Apple, new telephones from Samsung, technological innovation, and also pharmaceutical innovation and financial innovation like cashless payment systems and so forth. These are things which confuse consumers. And we asked people, what do they think about the pace of innovation? And 51% globally, and the results were about the same in Indonesia, said the pace of change was too fast. Which I thought was very interesting, particularly in a country like Indonesia, which we think of as embracing change very much. But when we unpack that a bit further and we asked people why business innovated so much, it was quite interesting to see the lowest scores were, for instance, to make people's lives better, and amongst the higher scores were things like corporate greed. So when we try to look at what builds trust in innovation, there are a couple of things which really stand out. One is if there's been high involvement of stakeholders in developing innovation. This is particularly true in pharmaceutical. And the other thing is that there's very clear communications about the benefits to ordinary people and to society that innovation brings.
You mentioned content creators. How do you define a content creator?
Content creator is a very interesting category. It's not necessarily people who paint, write poetry, and write books. It's also people like you and me and what we choose to share on Facebook. So if I share an article from the Wall Street Journal or a latest picture of a cute cat, in that sense, within the context of my social media, I'm a content creator. Now, there are usual people who are quite highly trusted in Indonesia as spokespeople, such as technical experts and academics, and they're very trusted as content creators. CEOs are more trusted here as content creators than the global average. But a person like yourself, our friends and family, they're very highly trusted as content creators. In other words, what you choose to share on your Twitter or your Facebook, your own publishing of other people's content, if you like, that is very highly trusted in Indonesia. And what's interesting, I find very interesting, is that celebrities came bottom of the heap. And just over half of people trusted.
53%.
Yeah, 53% of people trusted what celebrities have to say. And that's kind of interesting from the marketing world, because in Indonesia and in Asia in general, there's a lot of use of celebrities as endorsers. And what our survey is beginning to tell us is that actually people need to be more judgmental about why they use celebrities and endorsers, because it's not automatically guaranteed that what they have to say will be trusted, and that they may just be regarded as being a celeb for pay.
Well, globally, what conclusion can we take?
Authenticity, I think, is becoming the most important thing in driving trust. whether that's authenticity in a CEO's message or what a company has to say about itself, but also the authenticity that people naturally expect from things like social media, because social media is perceived as being, as it were, unedited, and that what people have to say on it is real as opposed to spun. I think that authenticity is becoming a real driver of trust around the world. And for governments around the world, trying to be authentic at the same time as trying to achieve government policy, that's a real challenge for them.
Thanks so much, Stephen. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. But that was Stephen Locke from Edelman discussing the results of the 2015 Trust Barometer Survey. And I'm Blaise Hope with The Perspective. See you next time.